Today I'm doing a review of Dreamshell 4 and using the SD card slot. I had a lot of trouble using this, and also this had no documentation on it, so I had to find the website. When you load up the CD, it does have a website on the when you look at the screen. The website is here, dc-swat.ru. I guess it's a Russian website maybe. And if you scroll down, you can get the files to run the SD card. You have to copy an SD folder into your SD card, and then it can run. So that's the one missing piece of information. There's YouTube videos about it, and thankfully they have those YouTube videos. But you can download, for instance, over here, Dreamshell release over here, and then once you download it, you unzip the file. So the zip file unzipped looks something like this, and all you have to do is copy this DS folder into your SD card, and that's it. The other thing is your SD card has to be formatted in FAT32, and the size has to be either 16, 32, or 64 kilobits. I think anything bigger and it won't read well. And then you can copy your games onto the root directory. So that was the first hurdle I had to address, was where do I copy onto this? Do I need to copy anything? Can I just use it? And so you can see I have a bunch of SD cards, and it's very picky. So this 32 gigabyte class 6 won't work. It won't even recognize it. This 32 gigabyte class 10, it won't work because it says the MBR is not readable. And then this one is a micro SD card class 10 from Micro Center. It's a 32 gigabyte, and it works sometimes. So it'll work for a while, and then once it crashes, I can't get it back. So they say, it might be your SD card adapter, or it might be how you formatted it. Again, it's so finicky. So if you're thinking about using this, you could take my advice. Like, I could have got a bad SD card reader, but I'm thinking that it's just an issue where it's very picky with the SD cards. So like I said, I have 4 or 5 SD cards. Only 2 of them work, sort of. So this 8 gigabyte and this 32 gigabyte, this is a class 4, which is slow. And this class 10, they work. But like if I try to I'm not sure if it's because I filled this up with games. I filled it up and then it stopped working because as you know, this serial port is slow. It's much slower than the CD. And so that's the second issue. Well, the second issue is if you're getting errors, it might be just from the SD cards you're using and how you format it. And then the third thing is this SD card reader hooked up to the serial port in the back is slow. So that's just by default. It's not like USB 3.0. It's just slow serial port from 1998. So let me go try to plug this in. I have a copy. The fourth thing I want to mention is you can't just take a game and burn it to the SD card, or load it into the SD card. It might not run well because even the game itself has to be optimized. I'm not sure if I haven't tried, but from what I've read online is the game still needs to be optimized so it can run well, because the audio files they're not encoded a good way, so they're too large, and if it tries to read it through the serial port, it just doesn't play well. So that was the fourth or fifth issue. It's like, luckily there are some game files like my Street Fighter 3. I didn't upload it. I had to find it online. So you can't just use any generic game file. So I'll put in the description. It uses some special game files. Let me go through the file formats that they use. So I looked at a torrent about with all the games, and here's the different formats that it accepts: ISO files, GDI with ISO, GDI with ISO and RAW file music files, GDI with bin and RAW music files, CSO and CDI files. So I found sites where they have bin files, and I don't know if it'll run well, so it's something you can test. So you just copy the game folder into the root directory, and hopefully it should read it. Hopefully. So bear with me. My Dreamcast is old, and the laser is kind of dying. Oh, let me turn this off. I need to put an SD card into the back, which I'm going to do right now. Hopefully it reads. And up there it's turning on. You should see a screen that says Dreamshell. In my case, it might not come up. The date time thing might come up for me. Like I said, laser on mine's going out. So this affects my testing. So this comes on. I'm going to go skip that and click OK. And from here, I'll go over to play. And you can see my laser is definitely going out. So for me, I have to reboot it a bunch of times, pressing power and power on. So this might be just specific to my Dreamcast. It's just old. The laser doesn't play well. Hopefully it boots. See, boots Dreamshell, and it has the website there in the bottom over there. You just missed it. And so booted there. Sometimes it boots there, or boots all the way. I just clicked on play. Again, the website you'll see over here. There's the website. So I get into this boot loop over here. Turn it off, turn it back on. Hopefully it's able to bypass that. Like I said, for me, maybe it's a combination of my old Dreamcast as well as Dreamshell itself. I don't know, but okay. Now it loads this thing. It's saying checking SD card, and it actually loaded. Okay, so that's great. And it loads this screen. So sometimes you need to reboot the system by pressing power and power on, and eventually it'll load into this is the SD card menu. Let's see if I can get Street Fighter 3 to work. So I'll go to ISO Loader over here, ISO Loader at the top over here, and press the button. From ISO Loader, I need to go to SD, and then it has the games. If you have more than like 8 games, you have to learn how to scroll using it says at the very bottom over here, press X or Y plus the analog D-pad and it'll scroll down. Again, for me, if I put too many games, it kind of corrupts the SD card. So maybe my SD card's not that great. But I'm going to go here and I have to scroll down to the ISO file and press play on it. You see it finally shows the image. And voila, it loaded. Just takes a while. So I want to show you how well it runs. There's some pixelation sometimes. You see that? It's taking a while to do the. So there's some stutter playing the game with the audio. But once you're in, it's kind of smooth. At the top, sometimes there's pixelation, but for today, it's running fine. So it looks pretty decent. Again, this is a game that was optimized that I downloaded from the internet. Had I just tried to get the backup and put it onto the SD card, that'd be a different issue. I'm gonna go ahead now and try some other SD cards. I'll show you the one where it won't even read. So I have the files copied over here already. I'm gonna plug it in. Power it on. So this is a 32 gigabyte class 6 Samsung drive. And again, this happens really quickly. I can't even see there's that black screen that's saying it was reading the SD card. It goes by so quickly that I don't have a chance to see what it says. But in this case, it's gonna say SD card not found, or no SD card, no SD. It's really quick. So I actually recorded it. So we're going to get the black screen, checking SD card not found. You see how quickly that is? And then it takes me into the boot from RAM, boot from CD, and this really doesn't do anything for me. No amount of resetting or reformatting of this card over here will get it to work. It can never be read for some reason. So as I said, it's picky about what SD card you use, and as well as how you format it. Now this one's a different error message. It does read the SD card, but it gives me this MBR error. And I tried going onto the internet. And figure out how to reformat it so it works. But it continually gives me this error message about the MBR. So let's boot it up. Again, I get to this wonderful screen. Start it up. So if you're getting these errors where the SD card can't be read, or in this case the MBR, it's going to be really quick. Can't read the MBR. And then it loads again to this screen where it says boot from RAM, boot from CD.
Daddy, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to do a short review of this Dreamshell thingy over here. So again, I've tried reformatting this drive a million ways and it doesn't work. This SD card. So these are two failed SD cards. Finally, I have this class 4 PNY that does work sometimes. So let me plug this in to show you. So let me plug this in, this PNY.
Name is Billy. Mom, Daddy, name Billy.
Yeah, you can play. Powering it on, and of course it's going to load me to the date time screen as usual. And let's load it. And so this one was working on and off. Again, when it works, it works. And then when it fails, I can't just recopy the SD folder. I have to pretty much reformat the drive. It was able to read it. It's mounting. And there's the Dreamshell startup logo screen. And I have an older version of Dreamshell on here, so let me open this. Go into SD, and I don't know. Let's try Street Fighter again. Press it again, and hopefully it loads. So again, you need to find optimized images, or I mean, you can create your own optimized image for your SD card slot, but it's I don't know how to do that. And again, if I'd known it was this much work, I wouldn't have done it, because luckily on the internet there's Dreamshell optimized images of like about 50 games if you look around. And so hopefully you can find a backup for the games that you want. The whole idea was I was going to back up some of the games and then play them through the SD card, but it's not that easy. So that's my long short story. One is, this is slow. The SD card reader is slow because of the serial port. Number two is you need to find the right SD card because it's picky. You might run into a bunch of different errors like I did. No SD card found. MBR not readable. Or it just fails after a while. So you have to know how to format. Again, these have to be formatted FAT32. And the size needs to be 16, 32, or 64 kilobytes. And hopefully it works for you. And again, you copy the SD folder into there, and you can copy games into the root directory as a folder. Individual. Just watch the YouTube. Anyways, that's the end of my video, and here my kid's gonna play right now.